One of the key messages that I grew up with is you can complain about things, but you also need to be willing to fix them. So you can't just sit around and say that there's a problem. You need to find a way to solve it. And so for me, that's been the trajectory of my career. I got started in journalism in kind of a roundabout way when I was an undergrad. And when I graduated, I found a job at a local TV station. I was doing a story on a sailor that had deployed to Afghanistan. I really became intrigued about how the Navy was telling the story or not telling the story of these sailors that were fighting on the ground in Afghanistan. Seeing how those narratives were being told, that motivated me to join because I thought some of these sailors were doing some really incredible work that wasn't getting shared with the public. I tried to use my gifts and my skills to make things better. And I worked in the Pentagon, and I was also selected as a Blue Angel, traveling on the road 300 days a year, doing air shows, and just having, honestly, a really great time. I became interested in HROs during my time in the US Navy. HROs are high reliability organizations, and they are concerned with human life and well-being being at stake. So if they fail, it's catastrophic and costly. People die. And so examples of HROs are things like firefighters, nuclear power plants. Unfortunately, there was a series of really terrible accidents that happened in the US Navy, and I lost 2 friends in the span of 9 months. And at the same time, I was going to graduate school. And what I discovered was some of the theory that I was reading about high reliability organizations and teams wasn't matching up to my experience in a high reliability organization and team. And so for me, I really wanted to make a change, and I wanted to make sure that my fellow men and women serving in the military didn't lose their lives. I wanted to fix these problems. And if you're gonna fix a problem, you wanna learn from the best. And Annenberg is the top communication school in the world, and particularly for PhD students, we have access to faculty that are second to none. So Annenberg really helped with my dissertation from start to finish in the midst of COVID, where a lot of organizations are uncomfortable having anybody have access, let alone doing a research project. Having faculty to tell me, okay, here's how you might want to think about it, here's how to frame your request. That was a huge part of even how I gained access to CAL FIRE. I was the first researcher to ever get access to CAL FIRE's tactical air operations. I was on the ground while they're doing the training. I was in the air, in the aircraft, observing them training their air tactical group supervisors. I was hands-on for 15 months with these aerial firefighting teams. And what I learned is we take a lot of communication for granted. And inevitably, there's sometimes going to be conflict in communication. But through training, these tactical air operations teams learn how to smooth that communication with those in charge. So when they're in a crisis, when that fire's erupting and there's chaos, they already have the communication strategies and skills. I have made a partnership with CAL FIRE Tactical Air Operations with the hope of understanding how those tactics that they're using can be translated to other industries that are highly reliable, such as hospitals. So have I made the change that I've wanted to? In some ways, yes, but in some ways, there's a lot of work still to be done, and I'm excited. Ultimately, I want to make bigger changes and leave this world better than I found it.